Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. My name is Tom Mealy. I live over in Country Manor. And today we're going to walk you through the new proposal, give you some background history. If you just take a look over at that wall over there, this is our agenda for today. I'm going to be doing some introductions of committee members. Larry's going to take you through the history of how we got here today. I'm going to walk you through all of the things that the committee has been doing since we first met last February. And then Mike's going to take you through the architectural drawings of the proposal, and then John will lead us through a question and answer. So normally our meetings last between 70 to 75 minutes, unless there's extra questions that need to be answered. So let me give you a quick introduction of the committee members.
He's got to put his glasses on for this.
I do. See if I'm about 50-50 getting members right so far. At one time, I've left the chair of the committee out a number of times. At one time, believe it or not, I even left myself out. So, not my strong suit. Okay, John Rogozensky is our chair. Andrew Willis, some of these people are not here. They'll raise their hand if they are. Andrew Willis, Brian Reed, Chuck Healy, Larry Franzen's here, Master Board President. Patty Avalone is not here yet. Mike McDonald is here. Sylvia Sly Moore is here, and Joe Smith is here. Okay. So we're going to walk you through the agenda. Our goal today is that when you leave here, we want you to leave here as an informed voter, because that's our biggest challenge. We want to make sure that everybody gets as much information as possible so that when the end of the last week of March, first week of April, when you actually start to vote, that you'll vote from a position of knowledge. So that's our biggest challenge, and we're pretty successful at reaching that goal. So Larry's going to walk us through the history of the committee. There you go.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
Okay, I like to start with this one, which is our vision, mission, and values. From a board perspective, we spend a lot of time focusing on these various areas. The day-to-day operation, Joe and his staff handle that extremely well, and we provide a high-level oversight of that. But for the most part, we're trying to look at how is Countryside positioned, where should it be positioned in the future, where should we be 5 years from now or even 10 years from now, not only in terms of staff and amenities, but also facilities and everything else that goes with it to provide the lifestyle that we want to have at this location. So just to focus on the mission part of this for now, we want to provide members with an enjoyable and valued living experience with quality amenities, services, and facilities. And really that's what we want to talk about today. What are our facilities? What do people want our facilities to be as we go into the future? And how do we compare? And of course, the board looks at this a lot. How do we compare with all of our neighbors up and down Davis Boulevard? Because that's really who we're competing against when you talk about home sales, for example. It's what does Cedar Hammock have? What is Naples Heritage? What is Glen Eagle? What is Foxfire? I had chili for lunch. I think I'm having it again. Anyway, that's all what's going on. And so we try to look at all of that and put all those things together as we talk about developing plans. The chart here says that, the first thing on it is April of 2019. We didn't really start in April of 2019. We had it on our 10-year projection back in probably 2018 or even maybe 2017 late. But in 2018 at our annual meeting, Mike Bradfield, who was our GM at the time, spent a lot of his time talking about the kitchen, the status that it was in, how well it could or couldn't serve our membership in terms of the food and so forth. And he made a big pitch for the fact that we really needed to do something to improve that facility. In April of 2019, the board approved some funds in the 2019-2020 budget to do a feasibility study of where are we, where should we be in the future, how does it all fit together, what possibly could we do to the clubhouse to improve it for our members. In January of 2020, we sent out an RFP, which is a request for proposal, to 7 architectural firms. We asked for them to respond to us with their proposal by March 13th of 2020, which just happens to be almost identical with the date that the pandemic opened up. And that kind of threw a lot of things in a little turmoil about that point in time. But we did continue because we felt this was a longer range effort. We couldn't just stop and do nothing. So we have continued with that process from that point on. In May of 2020, we had a workshop where we reviewed the 5 proposals that we did get. 2 of the firms said they had just too much on their plate, and so they did not respond with a proposal. So we reviewed those 5, and from that, the board selected 3 that we scheduled for an in-person interview in October of 2020. We felt that what their approach was kind of consistent with what we were looking for and what we thought we ought to be doing in a feasibility study. So we had them in October, and then at the October board meeting, we selected Humphrey Roselle Architects to partner with us on this feasibility study. Then in November of 2020, we approved a motion to create the master plan committee that we have in place today. We also appointed 3 board members to be a selection committee in which we advertised within the community for people who might be willing to help us and work on this project and would want to be part of this committee. And since we got more than the 9 we were looking for, we had to do a little selection based on what they told us their experience and background was. And so in January of 2021, that committee reported to the board on the members that they were recommending, and the board approved those members. And then in February of 2021, our committee had its first meeting, February 24th. We have a long name for the committee, Master Plan Phase 2 Ad Hoc Committee, and for the most part, I'm started calling it Countryside 2.0, and it's a whole lot easier than trying to remember all those other words in there. I think we had committee in there twice, a couple of times, so we're in that mode today. So just a couple other things before I turn it back to Tom. One is that as you see the renderings, please remember they are renderings. If we were to actually complete this project and do the true architectural design and development, it might look different than what you see on these renderings. There's been no interior design done, so there's nothing in here that would demonstrate what that might look like. Functionally, the areas will be the same. They will address the same areas, but it could end up looking slightly different from what you see there. And the other comment I'd make is that we are going to show you in the process of this a few pictures from some other clubs. I don't want to leave you with the impression, oh, we're trying to be those other clubs. We're showing these to you simply because they're examples of the kind of things that our architect has already done at other clubs that are similar to what he was proposing that we might do here. So as you look at it, just think of it in those terms. Don't think of it that we're trying to be whatever those other clubs are. That's a totally different concept. So with that, I'll turn it back to Tom.
Okay, thanks, Larry. May I have that?
Oh, you need that.
Thank you. Okay, great job, Larry. Thank you for taking us through that history. So, as you heard from Larry, last February we met for the first time, and our charge was really to determine how can we gather input from the community. What we wanted to find out as much as possible from members of the Countryside community as to what we should do as we put together this proposal. So we sent out a survey. Approximately 475 surveys were collected, gave us a boatload of information in a variety of areas, and that really kind of focused us on what you folks really wanted to see as we worked through an upgrade for the clubhouse. We also sat 8... Thank goodness you said yes. We sat 8 in-person focus groups, representative from all the communities here in Countryside, and for an hour or so they gave us additional information about what they think and what direction we should take. We also interviewed the management and a lot of the staff. Joe brought in Chef Jay, the beverage folks, and some of the back of door people. so that we can talk to them and see what they think from their perspective as to how we can improve the facility. Then we went on a number of field trips, for lack of a better term, and you could see the places that we went. The reason why we went to these places is they had done recent upgrades to their clubhouse similar to what we were looking to do. The one that was really interesting for us is Kelly Green's, which had the identical footprint of their clubhouse before they renovated. So this was really interesting for us. You'll see a slide, Mike will show you a slide a little later on, what they did to their equivalent of our Lakeview Lounge. Okay, so we took all of that input and we started putting together plans. We even talked about whether it was feasible to completely tear down the clubhouse, build new, way too expensive. We decided to go and stick to renovating the current clubhouse. Went through a number of plans and we settled on basically what you're going to see today. And we took that to the master board on October 21st and we presented to them. It was very well accepted. They said, yes, you can move on and start sharing that information with the community. So now we're at the second to last of these proof of concept meetings. We've had 13 of them in the last 2 weeks. They've been very well attended. We've got some wonderful input. We are going to continue with member interviews online. Hopefully you've taken advantage and taken a look at them. The newsletter updates come out monthly. John puts together a synopsis of what the committee's been doing on a monthly basis, full of information about where we stand. In February, we're going to try to get out into the communities, the HOAs at common areas, maybe poolside. We would show up with a couple of reps from the committee and sit in a smaller group possibly, or larger, doesn't matter, to listen to any other questions and or concerns. We're going to continue with the member interviews and the newsletter interviews. And then in March, big date, March 10th, is the annual membership meeting over in the church. That's the day that you are going to see the final proposal and what you will be voting on at the last week of March, the first week of April. You will also be able to zoom in online if you can attend. There will not be a question and answer period at that time. It's going to be just a proposal, and we're going to have a much more informative PowerPoint with a lot of the information that we've gathered from the Q&A. We're going to send out some informational emails. If we get some last minute information, that's been our biggest challenge, is to overcome a lot of the misinformation that's happening at the pools, on the golf course. We really encourage people to come to meetings to get the real information so they can be an informed voter. We will all receive a project brochure with some final documentation in there. If you did sign up for online voting, you will get an email. You can vote online. If you did not sign up, you'll get a letter with a paper ballot that you'll complete and send that in. And then we're always available, any member of our committee, to speak to anybody if you have any questions and or concerns. So from all of that data that we gathered early on before we put together, this is what we gathered in the highest areas of input. Not at all in priority order. We talked a lot about expanding the Lakeview Lounge. Everybody told us they want more outdoor dining, which in many cases hopefully could be casual. Everybody seems to understand we need to improve and expand the kitchen, update the decor of the clubhouse. When we asked you about what key recreational activity would you like to see in Countryside, pickleball came out first. You're going to see a slide of 4 dedicated pickleball courts that we're proposing over across the street next to the bocce ball courts, and you told us to take a look at updating the pool with an adjacent cafe and bar. So now, Mike's going to come up and he's going to walk you through slides and schematics of the...
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon, everybody.
I wasn't here. Neither was I.
All right, I'm sure we're all familiar with the club from the bird's eye view.
Sorry.
At the northwest end of our campus is our golf operations, the cart area, our front door to our dining facility, pool view building, and the wellness center that we are in today. So as we work with the architect, we were gauging the success of his solution that we're going to show you today by the 4 highest priorities from the survey. An expanded and renovated grill room with outdoor seating, an expanded main dining room with outdoor seating, the new casual bar and dining venue, and to support those 3 dining venues, an expanded and renovated kitchen. So each of those additions you'll see in the floor plan when we get to the next level. In addition to those 4 most important priorities, there were some secondary considerations. When we removed the pool view building to build our new casual bar and dining with the water feature, we've displaced 2 constituencies here in the club, the card players and the physical therapy. So PT will be relocated to the old real estate office, which is on the back side of the golf cart building. The card players will make use of a room that can be also used as a private dining room reserved by members for private events. So again, you'll see that in the footprint. A couple other considerations, parking. We know that the expanded club is meant to bring more of our members down to the facility. So we've reconfigured the parking lot to our south, including adding some more spaces to bring that lot close to 50 spaces. We're adding a few out by the first tee, and we're doing some work over by the pickleball. The net addition of parking is 40 cars, and we've submitted that plan to the county zoning, and it's been approved as of the end of last week. So they have taken into account all of our new space and the reconfiguration of our dining facilities and our exercise areas and so forth with pickleball, and they are approving the car count that we have on our plans. A minor thing, but maybe not to all of you, with all the increased member activity in this corner of our campus, we've taken the garbage dumpster and just moved it out to the edge of the campus so that we won't have any unpleasant aromas from yesterday's leftovers. So we jump into the floor plan. Again, our front door coming into our lobby. The architect suggested we pull our reservationist out of the space and move to the side into a small niche. That opens the lobby for all of us to have more room to gather when we're meeting friends for dinner or just want to hang out in the seating area. Further, we've opened up the back side of that lobby so that as you come in the entrance, you can see clear through to the atrium, to the outdoor seating, and all the way to the landscaping. This also allows the main dining room to flex into the grill room in the occasion when we have a large formal event. The main dining room itself today is long and narrow. It's very difficult to have a large event there if you have a dance floor, if you have a live music act, a buffet line. The staff is fighting their way across the dance floor with hot food. So by incorporating the Four Seasons and the expansion to the dining room, we've squared the space off to a great extent, makes it much more flexible, gives you more places to tuck the dance floor and the music and so forth. So that room becomes much more flexible and usable for the large events, as well as having access to the new outdoor seating. The new amenity is our casual bar and dining off to the south end of the club. A full addition. It's an outdoor space under a hard roof. Also then opens out to the open air seating. This outdoor venue will have its own entrance directly from the outside. A small waiting area, again, to meet up with friends. Some restrooms to support it. And we anticipate, from what we've seen at other clubs, this venue would run later into the evening. And the dress code is come as you are in these venues. So you can come for a swim, you can just come after golf or tennis, but any way you show up would be fine with the staff, and the menu would be slightly different as well. Then finally, the large addition for the kitchen and a total reconfiguration inside, 100% new equipment. Now we'll have multiple food prep lines, and that'll allow the kitchen to serve a large event that may be in the dining room, maybe the entire left half of the plan, but it would still let other members who didn't go for whatever reason could still grab something to eat or a drink at one of the other venues. And in particular, say that the different menu that's in the more casual menu that's offered is going to have its own food line inside. The card room addition or multi-purpose room is off to the north side. Again, the card players can use it. Any of you could book it for a family party event. And now you have access to the full services of the kitchen and the bar. There's a small addition for administration to consolidate the folks that are over in the old real estate building. And I think that covers the architectural improvements there. There'll be a small set of restrooms added to the plan in this general area that'll directly serve the grill room. So here's a rendering of the grill room as the island bars could be configured, opening up views to the putting green, to the ninth green, and to the practice area. And this is the Kelly Greens effort recently completed. Again, the exact same building by the same developer from the same time period. They had that same bar with everybody sitting with their backs to the room. So they reconfigured to the island bar. They used the stained wood aesthetic, but increased the seating and opened the outside walls to the views. And obviously you can see through to the outdoor seating that they're availing themselves of. A similar project at another club, just a little different aesthetic. They raised the ceiling and just went with a more contemporary look. So if you were hovering above our ninth green, looking back to our existing building, the Lakeview Lounge is here. We'll be picking the roof up and restructuring it, adding dormers and clear story windows. This will be our covered outdoor dining and our open air dining. Outside the atrium, more cover, the Four Seasons and our formal dining. And the terrace just wraps right around the north side. That card room, private function room then is off at that corner. So this work should not impact the card path and certainly won't impact any of the golf operations. Another rendering of our casual bar and dining. Again, the hard roof, roll down screens or storm shutters as needed. Open air seating, and then looking out to our enhanced water feature. And again, a venue that can run 12 months a year and into the later evening. So all the clubs in the area are going to this more casual setting. Again, incorporating waterfalls, a larger pool, a more relaxed atmosphere, completely outside but under the roof in the case of the summer afternoon storms. So the pool has been a subject of discussion at every meeting. So we thought we would insert this point today. Our existing pool is 35 years old now. The club spends close to $10,000 a year doing repairs on this facility, the heater system, the spa, piping, the coping, etc. And for those of you who've used the pool regularly like I do in the summer, there's no space on the sides once those recliner chairs are spread out, the umbrellas are open. It's not really a place to gather. You can take a dip, you can sit in your chair, but it's not really a place to meet friends and socialize like the new water feature. This pool in the long-term plan needs $250,000 or more to be rebuilt. The pool itself, all the decking, the fencing, everything's ready for its 40-year upgrade. So we believe it's smarter to divert those funds into the new water feature. A rendering then of our casual bar and dining from the water's edge. Again, a kind of a waterfall feature, an irregular geometry that lets folks gather in different points around. The pool would still serve as it does today for those that want to do exercise, swim laps. There'd be, the tile lanes would be imprinted on the bottom. You'd still have the depth of water that you do today. You could still do the aerobics program for the ladies. But the pool itself would be between 2 and 3 times larger than the pool we have today. Plus with the new geometry, it's easier to just gather and have social get-togethers by the pool's edge, just whether you're taking a swim or just want to put your feet in the water. And the places, the clubs we've been to, these venues are just packed from noon till they chase them out at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Another club very similar. This was a detached building at this club, so their kitchen was more of a snack bar, but the same general idea that very popular spots to gather. Quick rendering of our lobby with the back walls opened up, views through the atrium and out to our landscape. The reception is tucked to the side. Give some consideration to the interior design there, maybe paint things up, add some soundproofing. You'll see that what they did at Bear's Paw. These are acoustic panels up here. They painted out some of their stained woodwork from the 70s and 80s, but opened up the back side. So as you come in, you can see what's going on in the back end, and there's more place to just hang out if you want to sit in the comfortable chairs. We overlay our existing footprint. It's the red perimeter, and you can see we're adding construction on most of the sides of the building. That gives us a chance to bring the aesthetics up a couple notches from our 1980s kind of blocky architecture. Currently, the club can serve a little over 200 seats, and probably does that on some of the special events. The number of seats in the new scheme, that includes all the outside chairs, the fire pit, casual seating, is 500. So the club could flex to serve that many, but we see with the 3 venues, they'll run at different hours of the day. So it'll be rare probably when that number of chairs are actually filled. But it's key that the new kitchen would allow the club to serve multiple venues at the same time and reach a peak capacity as necessary. So again, just another look at the outside. I think we've touched on most of those components. I mentioned the PT suite, so we're going to do a light renovation there, get a bathroom with a shower. You'll have 2 PT rooms and a generous waiting area, so that facility will work a lot better than it does in the retro, in the old Poolview building. And then lastly, the pickleball courts will be built on top of the overflow parking that's in the back corner. When we close that off, we recapture some spaces there, and that'll give us our ever popular pickleball. That's the scheme. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. One of the things that we try to make a point here is that even though we had an architect to consult and draw a lot of the schematics that you saw today, the committee itself really was committed to listening to members and designing something by members for members. And we feel that we've done a pretty good job of doing that. You can see the areas once again that came out as the highest areas of needs. And with our discussions, multiple meetings, numerous times talking about it, we feel that we've hit all of them at once. And we believe that this project will add value and enjoyment to every one of the members of our Countryside community. And we believe this project positions Countryside better in today's market and keeps the community relevant for many, many years to come. So now you folks have been really good listeners, but now you have to change hats and start to give us your questions and your concerns, and John will take that over.
Okay, I'm here with John Rogozinski, our Master Plan Committee Chair, and we just finished a series of several proof of concept meetings with the community, and we got the video out. We recorded one of those meetings, got that out to the community for the residents that weren't able to attend in person, and we have a general email inbox set up. So if you do have questions, comments for the committee, you can email them. We'll put that up on the screen here, and you guys have started responding to some of those.
We have. Yep.
But obviously, we didn't record all the Q&A sessions because there were so many. So we thought we'd kind of go through some of the more frequent questions that came up.
Yep.
So let's talk through some of these and try and provide an update for the community here. So where do you want to start, Mr. Rogozinski?
Well, let's start. We decided to do a list of the ones that were the most frequent questions. So first one that was out there was, why do we need a new pool?
Yeah.
Why do we need a new pool? Well, we got some new information once we started digging down in terms of what our expenses are, and the pool, as you probably know, as the community is 35 years old, and it really needs a lot of renovations and repairs. And I think operationally we pay anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000 a year just in repair parts and maintenance and all this stuff. And we found out that in the budget we're going to have to spend anywhere from $250,000 and up, maybe $300,000 to repair that pool in the next couple of years. So we just, as a committee, we just said, really the cost of spending that money on a 35-year-old pool doesn't make a lot of sense. We estimate for a pool that we're looking at, varying size that we haven't nailed down yet, that cost could be somewhere, just for the hole in the ground, somewhere between $450,000 and $550,000. So we're saying to spend $250,000 or $450,000 to $500,000 on a new pool, it's pretty clear that we want to invest in a new pool. And there's other maintenance costs that help us make that decision as well.
Yeah, and I think too, the efficiency of the new pool with the new equipment, and we're looking at geothermal heating.
That's
there's
right.
a lot of operational savings that come along with that also.
Yep.
So, you had mentioned to me that it really is a $200,000 or $300,000 decision, not $1 million decision, and
Right.
it's just a more sensible use of money. So,
Yep.
makes sense. So what's next?
The next is what's the overall cost of the project? As we've said in our proof of concept meetings, the 13 that we had in January, we're targeting the cost to be just over $14 million. We haven't gotten the final construction numbers. We're getting some revised estimates in as we speak. We believe that there's a combination of about $3 million in reserve funds, capital planning funds, some working capital dollars that we can apply towards this project, which leaves us, not more than $11 million. It could be as low as $10.5 million that we need to finance, for this project. So conservatively, working with our controller, Jeff, we're using an interest rate somewhere in the 5% range. We believe that borrowing $10.5 to $11 million certainly will not exceed about $100 a month that each member will have to pay, towards this loan for 10 years. We'll also have the option that if members choose to, pay their allocated share ahead of time and pay that up front, whatever that number is, that'll be disclosed, and members can do that as well.
Yeah, and we're finalizing the details on that too. They would obviously save on the interest over the life of the loan, and we're looking at that number being, between $9,000 and $9,500. Again, those details, will follow. And just to talk a little bit about, you had mentioned our reserve funds. So right now we're looking at, funds coming from, 4 main sources, which is our reserve fund, pulling about 1.45 out of that. Then we have our resale fund. This is the fund that each new homeowner pays into, and that fund is used towards capital projects. We're looking at pulling about $850,000 out of that. We have our capital improvement fund, which that is funded by interest from our operating funds as well as any excess working capital. So we'd pull 1.1 out of that, and then we're looking at using about $250,000 in working capital, which is just excess cash. So that's how we're looking to fund the balance on what we would need versus the bank loan. So we're in a really good, strong position financially to be able to do that. Jeff's very comfortable with it, and we just recently got the board will be getting the blessing from the finance committee on
That's great.
on that
Excellent.
financial plan as well, to include the bank loan. So
Good.
good news there.
Good.
So.
Well, building on that, the total cost, I know many of the residents that we had at our concept meetings really were concerned about current inflation and supply chain issues and all the stuff that's going on around the world. Just to let you know that the committee is not blind to all of those external issues that we probably can't control, but we have taken a lot into consideration. We have personally built a large contingency amount into our budgeting process to cover any unforeseen situations, and also as a team and as a committee. We have resources, as well as the architect that we're going to be using, resources to use that are management tools to help us manage these large-scale projects through the design phase, through the bidding phase, and whatever. So we will be able to make minor cost adjustments in the projects if and when it's needed throughout the design and bidding process as we move forward. So I think that we've really built in a large safety net around this number to protect everybody's number, so it shouldn't exceed what we're planning on it being today. And a number of members of our committee have extensive experience in just this particular area. So we'll provide oversight to ensure that we deliver this project as proposed.
Excellent. You know, on the same lines, there were some questions on the operating cost on an ongoing basis. You know, we're going to expand the facilities, add some new food venues. You know, what is this going to cost the residents just in additional operating fees? So we talked extensively through that. You know, Jeff and I have run a number of forecasts on food and beverage all the way through, you know, G&A, as well as some savings we expect to see on, you know, things as simple as, you know, propane for the pool. You know, we've run those numbers countless times, and all in with additional labor, additional insurance, you know, utilities, everything else that comes into the new areas of the club, we're looking at about $60 to maybe $75 a year in additional operating costs per membership. So really, when you look at that, it's a really small number to operate the facility. Yeah. And we used, you know, a lot of residents said, well, how'd you come up with that? You know, we used a lot of data from our auditing firm, you know, based on, you know, what they're seeing in some other clubs with similar improvements. We spoke to a lot of other clubs in the area who have done similar projects. And then when it comes to, you know, the food and beverage side, you know, we're forecasting about 15 to 17% increase in revenues. And a lot of that is based off of not only what other clubs are seeing, but how much business we turn away, especially in season, on our bigger nights. You know, we're assuming that these enhancements allow us to accommodate more members and accommodate a lot of the activity we turn away now. So again, you know, it's you know, that $60 to $75 a year is a really comfortable number, and you know, both Jeff and I are pretty confident in that.
Good.
So.
Good. Yeah, another question that we've heard almost at every meeting that we had was trying to explain the voting process. And because of our countryside, you know, Master Association bylaws and declarations, we require a 2/3 majority vote of membership for this resolution or this issue to be passed. And that means 2/3 of the golf members and 2/3 of the social members. So if we don't get both of those to a majority of 2/3, the motion or proposal is not going to move forward. In order to do that, there's a mechanism that some of you may be aware of. It's called block voting, and that's really required in order to get to that, you know, 2/3, you know, threshold with 1,133 households at Countryside. So an example, in a building that has 30 units in it, HOA building, if 10 people voted and 6 of those people voted for in favor of the proposal and 4 voted against the proposal, the way that would play out is all 30 votes for that HOA would move up to the Master Association as an affirmative vote. And of course the opposite is true. If, you know, 12 people voted and 8 of them voted against the proposal and 4 voted for it, then the proposal would have 30 votes on the negative side. So the only difference is that some of the single-family homes vote as cast. So that's one vote. It's either yes or yes or no.
Yeah, it's single-family homes 2 through 5
Right.
are as cast,
Right.
and then every other sub-association, as you said, is block voting, and
Yeah.
and that is specified in their local documents.
Right. So I hope that, you know, clears up. That's a complicated, long-winded answer to a very simple question, but that's the way we have to do it within the current bylaws and declarations here at Countryside.
And I want to add to that too. You know, when the balloting information does go out in, you know, middle or late March, we will have some clarification and explanation that goes along with that, so everyone does clearly understand what they're voting on and how the voting works.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. And I guess one of the last questions is, you know, what is the construction timeline? So, assuming that we get hope we get a positive vote to move this forward at sort of the middle of the end of April, and we can move forward with this project, we'll probably spend the next year working on design, construction drawings, permits, bidding, that whole process to get ready for under construction. And the committee is targeting May of 2023 as a start date for this construction. And we anticipate to be under construction 10 to 12 months. And that, again, is building in a little bit of contingency if we have some weather issues or other things. But 10 to 12 months when the main clubhouse, for all intents and purposes, will be closed. But during that time, we will have all the other amenities will be available to members. Golf, tennis, bocce, everything else will be available. And we will have limited food service provided by our core food and beverage team during this time that we're under construction. So Joe, if you want to sort of add to that.
Yeah, you know, it should be interesting for sure. I've gone through a number of these, you know, construction projects where we're offering a modified food service plan, so it can be done. And we're, you know, Scott and Chef Jay and myself are brainstorming already on what that model could look like. But you know, obviously things like takeout service, delivery service, beverage cart really wouldn't be affected. It's really what we do here on site to offer some dining venues. You know, there's mobile equipment available. There's mobile, you know, kitchen setups available. You know, so we're looking at possibly using the wellness center as a place to dine. You know, weather pending, we could do some outdoor functions. We're looking at even tenting certain areas, so you can do some outdoor events, maybe in the evenings when it's not so hot over the summer. And then, you know, there's a partnership that's to be had with, you know, some local food trucks where we could bring some of them in and utilize their services and provide some variety to the residents. The other thing that we would be establishing is some reciprocal arrangements with some sister clubs. So that you all as residents would have the opportunity to go dine as if you were a member, you know, at Foxfire or Naples Heritage or Cedar Hammock or any one of these clubs in the area. We always have those agreements in place through the summer, but when a club goes through a project like this, you know, oftentimes those are extended, you know, and we've opened our doors, you know, to some peer clubs and you know, they certainly do the same for us. So. We will have some food and beverage available, definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. So I think those are the major questions that came up on almost every one of our sessions. We have a document that we'll post on our website that we'll you know, share with you all the other questions that we have with our responses and answers that either the committee or the board or you know, Joe and his team have kind of helped us, you know, formulate those responses. So I encourage you to look at that. And if you have any other questions, please use the email box that we've set up to ask your questions. And
masterplan@csgcc.net.
Right, and we'll get back to you, you know, in short order and get you an answer and answer the best we can right now. And we still have data that we're analyzing, and we're just going to move forward week by week.
Excellent. Well, hey, appreciate your time today. Appreciate all the work you and the committee have been doing, and all the work that is to be done, because there's an awful lot to do ahead of us here. So, Countryside, we love your comments, feedback. Appreciate all the information you're sharing with us, and as Mr. Rogozinski said, any questions, send them our way. We'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you.